How do we become a champion? What I want to talk about today is adversity happens to everybody. Everybody's pain level is the same. Your 10 out of 10 pain is the same as someone else's 10 out of 10 pain. Now, the situation might be different. Your 10 out of 10 pain might be losing your father, it might be losing a loved one, it might be losing your job. Someone else's 10 out of 10 pain might be their father never showing up to any of their baseball games and their father being so absent because they work all the time, or it might be not being able to join the military, or it might be not being able to achieve a lifelong dream that they've had. That could be their 10 out of 10 pain because maybe their parents aren't present in their lives. Maybe to them, the things that they value are different than the things that you value. So adversity happens to everybody. Today, we're going to talk about what does it look like when it happens to you? How do you turn your pain into a gain? How do you become a champion instead of a loser? Because what's reasonable, what happens to everybody, what's normal is that when something bad happens, bad stuff will follow. Well, now, when bad things happen, what do? Do you overcome or do you become the problem? People often say that bad things happen in threes, but it's not about cosmic. It's not that 3 is the magic number. It's about how we react, because when one thing happens, maybe your girlfriend breaks up with you, maybe you lose your job, maybe someone in your family dies, you're more than likely to have a decision. Do you allow that pain to be the thing that keeps you down? Do you react or respond in a negative way, and then you stop showing up to work, and then you're always late? Or maybe you're no longer showing up at a relationship and they break up with you, and the next thing you know, you go to drinking all the time and then you get a DUI. Bad things happen in threes, not because it's some sort of magical number. It's just that when something bad happens, you get to decide, do you be average or do you be a savage? Do you do something that a champion would do, or do you do something that a typical normal person would do? What's reasonable for them? See, average people let the bad shit destroy them. It envelops them, it becomes part of their story, and that is the mentality that they have. Average people don't know how to respond to things. They don't. And that's okay, because that's what's normal, that's what's accepted, that's society. Champions, however, are relentless in bouncing back from failure. Champions, whether they get cut from their college team or whether they leave the company that they started themselves and come back and end up turning into $1 million company, or whether they lose a fight that they were supposed to win, they come back and they have a triumphant victory. Champions operate differently, because when adversity happens to them, they kind of smile back. They smile back a little bit because it's the opportunity that they're looking for. They want to be able to have that success story, because honestly, adversity happens to everybody. It rains evenly on the poor and on the broke. It rains evenly throughout everywhere. Adversity happens to everybody. It's just about, how do you respond to it? What do you do about it? For most people, when bad shit happens to them, they think it's why their life goes to shit. Champions instead look at the adversity and realize it's why they have to succeed, and they double down on winning actions. They double down on the things that they know will benefit them in the long run, because the thing that happens to them, whether it's losing a job, whether it's going through a divorce, whether it's someone in your family dying, whether it's getting hit in a DUI driver and then your car is totaled, whatever it is that happens to you, you get to decide, what are you going to do about it? Is it going to define you, or is it going to be the thing that is the reason why you do so well afterwards? Does it beat the strength out of you or into you? Be excited about the story you will be able to tell. You see, I have my story, right? I have been through my trials and tribulations, and every single time that something happens to me, I smile back at adversity. I smile back at death, because it means that once I beat it, it no longer can control me, and people will see that if I can do it, they can be champions too. No one cares. People are self-serving naturally, and that is the brutal truth. But the thing is, when you understand that, you understand that society and human beings and everybody else around you is not responsible for you. You are. You have to accept that no one cares about your excuses. No one cares about what you're going through. They're going through something as well. And it's on you to be the one who cares. It's on you to be the one that comes up with a solution to whatever is happening to you, whether it's your fault or not. Because if the first thing that happens is you show up late to work and then you get fired, and then you start drinking, and then you get a DUI, and then you get that DUI, and then because of that, guess what? Your wife ends up leaving you. You started that initial thing that caused all this. And when you take ownership over that, you can decide, is this initial thing going to be the thing that destroys me or the thing that creates something beautiful out of this? Decide the story you want others to tell about your situation, because others will talk. And again, this isn't about, oh, you have to care about everybody's opinions. No, it's the fact that your testimony will be someone's success story. Someone will be able to be like, well, if Jasmine can do it, I can too. You know what? Eric started his own business, and I've always looked up to him. I can start my own business as well. Quentin is taking on this huge thing in his life, and you know what? I want to do that too. Because you can be that hero story that people look up to, or you can be the example of what happened to someone and that they didn't come back from it. Maybe there's someone in your life, right, that you can think about that something negative happened to them. Something bad happened to them. Maybe someone in their life died. And instead of then coming back from it, they lost their job. Why? Because they stopped showing up on time. An action that they decided to take. So even if that initial thing isn't something that is your responsibility, your fault, it's something that happened to you, you need to decide, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to rise and be a champion, or are you going to fall to everybody else's expectations and come out of the other side in a negative light? You have to turn your pain into gain. What doesn't kill you usually makes you weaker. People think that, oh, well, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true unless you fight back. What doesn't kill you does not make you stronger, because what doesn't kill you will normally be the thing that you use as a reason of why you can't succeed. So it's not about looking for the adversity. It's about that when adversity happens, because it's going to happen, trust me, you can come out on the other side of it and turn it into a gain. Average people will let their trauma become the reason why they stay stuck in whatever situation they're in. The unhappy relationship, the miserable job, the fact that they can't lose weight, the fact that they overeat and binge eat and they drink alcohol every single weekend. Average people will let the trauma be the reason they do that. Champions, however, will make sure that whatever situation they have, they will use that as a catalyst to be the reason why they can't do that. Because I'm unhappy with the fact that I'm in this miserable marriage, or I am drinking every night, or I hate my job, or I hate the way I look in the mirror, because of this, I am going to do this. Not because of this, I'm stuck where I'm at. It's perspective. Are you a champion or are you a loser? And I do mean loser. Because if you decide that you want different from life, if you decide that you are hungry for more and you really want to change the way that you're living your life, it's on you. You can live a mediocre average life. That's fine. But I know that nobody here wants that. You're here for a reason. You're listening for a reason. You showed up today for a reason. So whatever is happening in your life, whether it's combat injuries, whether it's family issues, whether it's financial woes, you have to overcome these and grow stronger from them. My life went to pieces so many times, but I rebuilt each time. And again, I love it. I love the fact that I used to smoke a pack a day. I used to drink every day. I weighed over 200 pounds. I've been through multiple divorces and failed relationships, and I've lost more friends than I can count. I've lost over $40,000 in the stock market. My dream job was taken away from me overnight. Overnight. I've had suicidal ideations, and I've lost all purpose in life. None of these things stopped me. I rebuilt each time. And when you look back in life, I promise you, it is much more inspiring and much more riveting of a story if you've been through adversity. You can look at the success story. You can look at all the movies that you've ever gone to watch at the movie theater. And the person that comes out on top at the end, the person that has the success story at the end of the movie, doesn't have a normal, casual, easygoing life. They're going to go through some hard shit because it's interesting, because it builds character, because it develops the plot. And I want my life to be interesting. I will always tell my team that if you ever want to know what I would do in a situation between choice A and choice B, ask yourself, which one is more epic? And that's the decision that I'll make. Always. Because I want an interesting story. And I make it interesting as hell on my own. Trust me. But when adversity happens, when things happen in my life, and they're going to keep happening, I get to decide, am I going to grow from this, or am I going to use this as a reason of why everything fell apart? Because it's reasonable. Let's just say that tomorrow my house burnt down. And I'm gonna give you an extreme fucking example. And you guys are gonna be like, oh my gosh, but I'm gonna give you an extreme example. And you guys will be like, oh shit. Let's just say that tomorrow my mom died, or my father did, or even worse, right? In the worst case scenario, one of my children. Is that going to be the thing that destroys me? And I know we're talking extremes here, right? But that's the thing. Adversity isn't limited. It's not going to be, oh, only one of your tires pops. It might be your whole car gets totaled. The worse the adversity, the worse the scenario, the worst thing that happens to you, it needs to be that much stronger of why you're going to make sure that you come out on the other side of it. If the worst thing happened to me tomorrow, is that going to be the reason why I close down my business? Why I start drinking every day? Why I become suicidal and eventually take my life because I feel like my life is not worth living? Or is it going to be the reason of why I appreciate life and love so much more? And make sure that I quit my fucking job tomorrow so I never have to go back to that police job ever again. And I actually spend time with my loved ones. And I grow this business to make sure that no matter what, I am present. Is it going to be the reason why I just completely give up? Or decide that I am going to make what I can out of this situation. I'm going to come out of it. And yes, I gave you extreme examples, but that's the thing. Life happens like that. It cannot be the reason why you decide to quit. It cannot be the reason why you decide that you can't make it. You need to rebuild every single time. You have to have strength through your struggle. Challenges can either beat strength into you or out of you. See hardships as stories that you get to tell later. 1 year ago, I was so depressed because my bank account had been emptied, because I was being kicked out of my own house, because I wasn't even able to be there for the birth of my daughter, and security escorted me out. I do not let that be a story that is a negative story, because I cannot wait. I cannot fucking wait to be sitting in Bali one day with my kids, being able to give them the life that I want to give them and travel all over the world and make sure that they understand the entrepreneurial mindset and make sure that they see dad present and happy, because they will see that no matter what. So whatever happened last year doesn't define the way the rest of your life has to turn out. You get to decide. And that is a story that is mine to tell, because you know what? I'm proud of it, because I didn't let that be the reason why I closed down my business. I was in the worst depression of my life a year ago. Memories pop up on your phone and it tells you 1 year ago. And I remember taking a picture of myself, because you have to memorialize the bad times too. You don't just take pictures in the good times. You need to capture the hard times. And if there's one regret I have, is I wish I would have taken more pictures when I was in a lower place, because it will remind you of where you were and what you've been able to do. And 1 year ago, my phone, it gave me a memory of a year ago. And it was me. A picture of me, distraught, showing up for a coaching call, but not even being present, not working out, not eating healthy, not showering for 2 weeks in a row, waking up, rolling out of bed, doing the coaching call, and literally hopping back into bed because I was in the most depressed state of my life. And the reason why I tell you guys this is because it didn't stop there. I didn't get stuck there. I decided that I'm going to be a champion and I'm going to do something about it. And I kept growing and growing and growing the business. I kept growing and growing and growing what I was doing. I kept making the videos. I kept showing up. Even if I didn't see the results immediately, delayed gratification will tell you that later on down the road, you will be gratified when it's delayed, which means that the work you're putting in now, today, will pay dividends in the future. And if you understand that, you understand why we go to the gym. maybe 3 or 5 times a week, even if we don't see results on the first day. You understand why meal prepping is important. You understand why showing up to these coaching calls and actually being present and listening, actively listening and applying this stuff actually matters. You understand that the things that you're going through today have to be that fucking fire in your belly to tell yourself, I am going to do something about this. Bad things happen in threes, right? Why? Because like I said, when something bad happens to you, you're more than likely, because this is what's normal, it's what's expected, it's what realistically will happen, for you to make bad decisions. Because if you go through a breakup at home, you're not going to necessarily do super well at work. You're more than likely going to start showing up late, be all miserable and depressed. Maybe lose your job. So you get to decide. The one negative thing that happens, do you use that to be the fire for you to actually lean into your work and maybe get a promotion and show up more? Start saving your money the right way. Maybe join a coaching program for investment, whatever. You get to make the story. Challenges neither beat strength into you or out of you. You have to be excited that you get to control your life and write your own story. Nobody else is doing that. Nobody is writing your story, setting your circumstances, except you. And how do you turn negative into a positive? Transfer that energy from negative to positive. That burning feeling that you feel of misery, of depression, of anger, do something about it. Get moving. I promise you, the first step to getting out of a bad state is by moving. Because even after a half-ass workout, you know you will feel slightly better. And then you can make a different decision. And then instead of drinking, maybe you go for a walk. And then that walk clears your mind. And you make that phone call to a friend that you've been avoiding. And that friend tells you something that you're like, damn, you're right. And then that little moment of, damn, you're right, turns into, okay, I can start therapy. Or, okay, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm going to work on my business. I'm going to show up for myself. I'm going to make sure that my systems are in place so this isn't my downfall. This is the story that I get to create. Psychologists call this sublimation. You replace the negative with the positive. An example could be a former drug addict going all out in the gym. They're replacing something negative with something positive. Just guess what? You're going to cope no matter what. Coping mechanisms are real. And they're not a bad thing. It just depends what tool you use. It's not about if you cope, it's about how you cope. A drink or two a day is a coping mechanism, but so is going to the gym and hitting a PR. So is leaning into your work the right way and the healthy way and showing up in a better way than you've ever showed up before and they put you up for a promotion. You're going to cope for whatever happens in your life. It's just how are you going to do so? Different coping mechanisms will make you either a savage or average. Because what's normal? Guess what? Going through a divorce. I'm going to cope by drinking a beer every night because it makes me feel better. It's bullshit. I'm going to cope by waking up at 4 a.m., going to the gym, and making sure that I spend 15 minutes on the treadmill because I feel so much better after being on the treadmill, and then 15 minutes in the sauna because I feel so much better after hitting the sauna. That is my coping mechanism. And it is much healthier than drinking every freaking night, and you know that. This is the difference between being average, being normal, doing what's expected of you, and being a champion. And I love that word. I love the word champion because to me, the word champion really, really signifies the difference between doing the bare minimum, getting by, being a freaking player in the NFL that barely goes out on the field, or being somebody different like Deion Sanders. That is a champion. Being the regular botch that you've never heard of, being the Muhammad Ali. Being the regular player that you've never heard of in the NBA, or being the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the Steve Jobs. Those are champions. Because they've been through shit. Steve Jobs was forced out of his own company that he started. He came back. And instead of coming back with a vengeance, he came back and he freaking succeeded. You have to use trauma as motivation. Believe it or not. Will the trauma that you are experiencing, or you experienced, or you might experience be the reason you don't lose, or the story of your failure? Is it going to be the reason you don't lose and the reason you come out a victor? Or is it going to be the thing that completely knocked you down and you tell everybody, oh, well, I was going through a divorce, so that's why I lost my job. And, now I can't hold down the job because I have a drinking problem. Or are you going to make sure that whatever happens to you, whatever is happening, whatever might happen, it doesn't defeat you? Because it doesn't have to. People can either pity you or they can celebrate you. But remember, what matters at the end is who wins. You need to win. That is it. That's the bottom line. So my little inspired message for you guys today is that you need to find a way to win. Whatever happens, by any means necessary, you need to win. And I mentioned this earlier, but pain is universal. Everyone perceives pain in the same, regardless of circumstances. Your 10 out of 10 pain, Sarah, is the same as my 10 out of 10 pain. It just might be different circumstances. So how do you react to that 10 out of 10 pain? That's what matters. Pain is pain. Whether it's an absent father or something trivial, it is a 10 out of 10 pain for some people. The key question is, how will you react to your 10 out of 10 pain? Because your reaction does define you. Will you be a champion or will you be a loser? Decide the story you want to tell, rise to the occasion, or fall into despair. I chose to lead my kids into a better tomorrow despite my hardships. I choose how my life will end up. And we have to be extraordinary. We have to be extraordinary. The reasonable thing to do under pain is to fold. Bad things happen to everyone, but you faced hard things before, and you get to decide, what story do you tell? Will you be a champion or a loser? And that is it for today, folks. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you so much, and thank you for your time.